اوکے السلام علیکم. آج میرے ساتھ موجود ہیں مصطفیٰ زہیر ابن یحییٰ. اپنا تعارف کرائیں, آپ کہاں پر ہیں اور آپ کیا کرتے ہیں, تھوڑا سا اپنا بیک گراؤنڈ بتائیے.
Assalamu alaikum, farhannabi. I'm Mustafa Zuhair ibn Yahya, as you said. I reside in Bangladesh, and I'm basically by education, I'm a mechanical engineer, but I have been doing business in software development since 2002. I'm in the field of IT since then. And in and out, I have been doing my doing justice to my teaching career as well. But then in the recent past, I have been more involved with the business. But I do want to introduce myself as a former teacher as well. As I mentioned, since I'm from Bangladesh, I can understand Urdu. I love to talk in Urdu, but I think that will be more of a very funny anecdote if I start talking in Urdu. It won't be very proper for the viewers and listeners who do understand. As you know, my mother is originally from Pakistan. My father was from India. And it's a whole subcontinental mess up that I was born in Bangladesh. And it's a mixture, but I do get, I can get away with talking in Urdu in Bangladesh because not many are very fluent. I won't risk it with you. And of course, alhamdulillah, now I'm doing just outsource works with clients from outside the country, mostly North American and some European. And alhamdulillah, things are good.
Actually, that's what we wanted to talk to you about today. جو آپ نے مینشن کیا کہ for the last 5 years or so آپ کام کے علاوہ اور چیزوں میں بھی انوالو رہے ہیں, تو وہ آپ کی کون سی ایکٹیویٹیز ہیں جس میں آپ انوالو رہے ہیں, اور اس کے بارے میں تھوڑا سا بتائیے.
Basically, yeah, I would love to. That's something I always love to talk about. It was, alhamdulillah, we grew up in a family where I saw my father actually set up an example of charity works, helping someone, going out of the way. And and in fact, after my father, I also saw my mother continue with it. In fact, if I can say it in Urdu properly, Dhaka ke mashhoor jitne fakir hai wo ammu ke paas aati thi. And there would be days where we would see our house's porch and front yard filled with all the fakirs. And not only that, even alhamdulillah till date, when I go to a market or anything, there will be an old lady coming in and say, "How is your mother?" Alhamdulillah. So yeah, this is something that I was introduced to from perhaps the childhood, but something that I was not directly involved. I mean, yes, there were times when alhamdulillah I was doing good. I thought donating money is good, and which is actually alhamdulillah for many, because it's not possible for everyone to be on the field. But it was back in 2017, if you remember, that was when the Rohingya influx started. There was a massive attack on Muslim community in Burma, Myanmar, and they were ruthlessly being killed. I mean, villages after villages being burned, and they had nowhere to go. So for months, they were trying to get into Bangladesh. And this was a time which was especially hard for me in terms of business. I was concentrating just on my work and trying to get my ends meet. And I knew that was my priority. And of course, it was so bad that I had to leave my business, join work. I was doing a job in another company, IT company, where basically, I won't say they were my competitors, but with peers who were maybe under me. So I had to basically swallow my ego, go in there. That was a good lesson as well. And in fact, me and my wife both were working. And as luck would have it, or alhamdulillah, as Allah planned it, the company where we joined also faced hardship, and they were not due to fault of their own. They were unable to pay us salary. And that was going on at that time when these things happened. And it was August, right on Eid Day, when Bangladesh finally allowed the Rohingya refugees to come in on humanitarian grounds. And, before that, there was hues and cries that, on one side, there were the so-called educated ones. They said that we are overpopulated country by ourselves, so we can't take in burden anymore. And that's the line that perhaps the government was taking at that time. But then there was, of course, some people who are saying that, we are Muslims, we should help each other. And on 20, that was the Eid day when they started coming in. And even at that time, I was just as any other, person struggling with his own existence would have it, just switch on the TV. Yeah, feeling happy that my country allowed it, but at the same time, what can I do? Dua kar sakte aur kya? Allah un log ki hifazat kare. So I was in that stage. And then it was just, believe me, bhaiya, it was one interview on a live TV of a CNG driver. We call that CNG, aap auto rickshaw keh sakte hain. Basically, three-wheelers. So it was an interview of a driver who was driving a three-wheeler on live, and there was influx coming in, waves after waves of people. Someone who didn't see it wouldn't believe that, there can be waves of people. And there he was, like, literally you could see tens of thousands of people coming in. Here he was, like, carrying a packet, maybe of 15 or 20 oranges. And the journalist who was transmitting this story live went up to him in a kind of mockingly way. I can see a person who's holding like 20 or so oranges. Let us talk to him. What's his thought? And he said that, he asked this CNG driver that, what are you here for? And said that, you see, they're my brothers and sisters coming from that side. I want to give them something. And this journalist continued mockingly that, I can see that there are so many oranges, perhaps 20 of them. And he understood the tone. His reply was, look, it's not about the 20 oranges that I bought from the 10,000 people or 10 lakhs people. It's basically Allah knows that I could buy only 20 oranges with whatever I could save. And I want my Allah to basically witness that I came with everything that I had. These are the 20 oranges. And that's what changed my mind. And I still pray for him that, till date, whatever I do, whatever we do as combined, may Allah bless him, give him a share of whatever works we are doing, because that's basically, I said, like, let's stop it right now. Enough is enough. Whatever we have, I have a roof on my head, I have foods, my children are doing okay, alhamdulillah. I have a family, and I'm doing work, I have internet. So what's stopping me? So I got together with two of my business partners at that time, who were also struggling, of course. And alhamdulillah, their response was instant, that whatever we have, let's combine. Let's just see if we have enough to go there. That's it. And it was in Cox's Bazar. It was a resort town, very expensive. We didn't have any idea. We had just enough. We found that to go and perhaps stay there for 2 or 3 days. But what we are going to take with them, we had no idea. So just as a matter of starting this whole thing, we decided that 3 of us basically decided that let's I had a car which was 30 years old. So of course that wasn't highway ready. So we, as a first step, we thought that let's go to the garage workshop and fix the car up, check the car up at least, and see how far it will go. And that's where the thing started rolling. And practically I saw the practical implementation of agar aap अच्छे काम का नियत करें, Allah बाकी चीज आसान कर देता है. And this is not something theological that I'm speaking. This is like practically, I've seen this. I wouldn't have believed it if I didn't face it myself. I heard it from my childhood. I had that ingrained in my mind, but yet there was, believe me, there was this space between believing and, really believing. Wow. Because now I can really believe, because it happened with me. And I wouldn't blame anyone who wouldn't be as die-hard believer of this phase of Islam, at least, that aap ek kadam lijiye, Allah ke paas aap chal ke jaiye to Allah daud ke aata hai. You have one niyyah to do good, Allah baki cheez aasan kar deta hai. And I went to the workshop, and I said that I need to go to Cox's Bazar, and even my mechanic was saying that there are millions of people coming in there. Why are you going now? It was exactly the reason why I'm going there. And he contacted his relatives. He was actually from nearby village. And he contacted his relatives saying that, okay, you can go there, and we need to know where we are going to stay. And as I said, Cox's Bazar is a resort town and a very expensive place to stay. So, of course, we weren't planning on staying on those luxury hotels, but we were looking out for certain cheap places, or we even planned that if required, we will stay back in the car. And there was this another brother who was repairing his car and said that, I have a relative who owns a hotel there. Let me call him up. And everything came into place. Like, it's like jigsaw puzzle coming into place.
Allah.
And then there were other people who called up their relative that this brother is going to Cox's Bazar for Rohingya. Do you have anything to donate? And then I called up my relatives, of course, alhamdulillah. And within a day, we had enough money to take a truckload full of food, alhamdulillah.
Allah.
And it was the third day of Eid, we started off. We said that, alhamdulillah, we have a truckload load of food, and let's start. At least it's better than 20 oranges. So, alhamdulillah, and that's how the journey started. And I have some snaps from that trip as well, but that was basically the turning point. It never stopped after that. Alhamdulillah, I pray that to Allah that Allah don't itna naraz mat ho jo mera ye cheez off ho jaye, because now I know that hadith really makes sense that koi apne bhai ka help karne ke liye agar jaye to Allah will remove his obstacles from his.
Allah. Allah.
So these are some hadiths which I heard, as I said, from childhood, but until I was there on the field. Yes, as I said, there were good times and bad times in my business. And then, whenever there was good times, I tried to donate. And that's what I thought was enough. And alhamdulillah, Allah kabul kare, jitna ye hai. But the difference I felt when I went into the field and started doing the things, Allah jo mera even business mein barkat diya, that's like unimaginable. So, and that's why I don't ever want to prioritize my business. I'm not saying, the lyrics of that old Hindi song, Duniya ko laakh mara din salam kare, but it's nothing like that. I'm not saying jo aapka income, aapka jo work hai, usko itna less prioritize mat karne, matlab nahi karne ka main bol raha hu, jo, that you ignore that altogether. That's going to remain. That's basically your responsibility. But the barakah, the additional stuff that you get from working like with these are unimaginable, alhamdulillah. So ever since then, bhaiya, alhamdulillah, I have had great experience and things started rolling, as I said. And now, alhamdulillah, I'm still a volunteer. There were, of course, offers from different organizations to join, which I humbly rejected because they're wonderful organizations, wonderful brothers that I work with. But as the volume of the donations started coming in and everything, I met wonderful brothers from throughout America, Europe, Asia, Middle East, who, alhamdulillah, were perhaps looking for, are still perhaps looking for great avenues or good, at least reliable avenues to implement. So therefore, I need to work closely with different organizations that, alhamdulillah, are rewarding, fulfilling. But I myself kept myself as a volunteer, and I would like to continue with that.
अच्छा, अभी जो आपने बताया कि वो इवेंट ने जिसने वो आपका ट्रिगर किया और आपको फर्स्ट जो आपका ट्रिप लगा जिसमें आप ट्रक लोड ऑफ फूड लेकर गए, एक तो ये कि उसकी पिक्चर्स भी हमें जरूर दिखाएगा, लेकिन बताइए उसके बाद ये कंटिन्यू कैसे हुआ? मतलब कि वो एक ट्रक आपने पहुंचा दी, फिर आप वो पहुंचाकर लोगों में डिस्ट्रीब्यूट करके वापस आ गए?
So basically this is what I mustered up, how it started and how it's going. So this is basically the first couple of pictures that I took as soon as I entered that area, and this is absolutely on the border. It's not very clear here because the mobile technology us waqt itna acha nahi tha back in 27, or perhaps rather the technology was good. I wasn't carrying a very good mobile, but you can see smokes. You could see smokes coming out from across the border. There was literally, when I went there, it was third or fourth day after the attack, and refugees started coming in, and you still could see smokes coming out from villages over there. You could see certain families, coming in, crossing the border. And the first experiences were on both sides. It was massive, just people on roadsides. That's it. No shelter, no nothing. As you can see, made up shanties, certain clothes to make up like tent. And this is the first family I encountered in the when they started coming in the middle. And it was the first time these kids were looking at something like selfie. So in the mobile, they could see themselves. They were so excited. And this was the first experience. And just to give you an idea of on the roadside, how things were, just a small clip. If you can see, I don't know whether you can hear, but
yes, I can see it.
This is basically the scenario what we went into. and people were rushing in, trying to follow the truck. And then it was the realization hit that we just got one truck. And there were millions like out there who were needing in there. And, I couldn't record the time when people were rushing in because I was too tense that they would raid the truck. But that was the scenario. And once we went in to start distribution, this was the scenario we faced. Thousands of people in front of the truck, and we didn't know what to do with like 700 or 800 packets of food that we took. So that's basically the start of the first experiences we had. And of course, I did some live Facebook video, and that's where I would say, utilization of social media comes in as well. That, I thought that I wasn't very active in social media before that. So I tried to use that platform and just give it a shot if people are listening. And alhamdulillah, there was such a response from people I knew, and as well as people I never met. People, as I said, mentioned from Europe, Norway, Sweden, England, and maybe some other people shared my video because they started messaging me and saying that, brother, you are there, we want to contribute. And with that, we started with more organized work. And this is like 5th or 6th day, we are continuing to stay there. And the first thing that they asked for was not shades of their own home, but shades of masjid. This is alhamdulillah on the left, you can see the first shade we made, a masjid. And that's what they all asked for, even the women, like masjid banabe. They weren't even concerned at that time. But of course, alhamdulillah, when the money started coming in from around the world, we thought that we should have more organized things. And the two most prioritized things were water and sanitization, latrines, because they were out there in the open, in the mountain. Yes, they were making in shades. There were supports coming in, alhamdulillah. And one thing I need to mention here is that the most vocal before the Rohingya refugees coming in, which we thought were the majority, is that those who said that, don't let these people come in, because we already have overpopulation issues in Bangladesh. But once I reached there, I realized that these were the voices of minority. The people of Bangladesh flooded in with all kinds of support, alhamdulillah. And this is, I'm saying, at the first week of influx, before even organized NGOs and different foundations came in. These are first few days, first weeks actually came, alhamdulillah. The only support they got were people, alhamdulillah, of Bangladesh who just went in, rushed in there, and exactly like that CNG driver with whatever they had. And that was something amazing to experience, actually. Perhaps for the first time I felt proud that, alhamdulillah, I feel happy for my country, but perhaps I felt proud to identify myself with that identity of, alhamdulillah, being a Bangladeshi. And once this phase got over, I would come to the experience that I faced during that time, but just as a part of this phase that, as we continued, there was calls for medicine and everything, like foods and stuff. So as we tried to coordinate with people, because there were thousands of people coming in and it was, not coordinated. There were foods that were coming in, but maybe not required on certain camps, but there were people going hungry on another area. So what happened was that, alhamdulillah, right after that, the army came in and they organized. And this was perhaps 7th or 8th day of influx. So after that, we started getting proper information of what's happening, what is required, and where foods are required, where medicines are required. And alhamdulillah, in the meantime, huge funds started coming in. And you can see these two brothers on the right were the ones who accompanied me. And alhamdulillah, I'm still so thankful to Allah that, Allah has made us together in that sense that, when funds started coming in, and I'm talking about thousands of dollars, few lakhs taka we didn't know what to handle. We were searching for partners and organization at that time. We couldn't get so. And of course, as I said, we went there with a bit of savings that we had. That's enough just for a few days. And calling up that brother who owned the hotel. And that was a very luxurious. We are afraid that, whether we can afford to give it. And at that time, the donors said that, alhamdulillah, including my sister who resides in America, she gave some extra amount that, for whatever you need to stay there long at a time, for your fuels, food, so you can use from there. But these two brothers of mine said that, no, let's try. We came here planning that we will keep ourselves to minimum. Whatever extra comes in, we will also utilize that for these people, because it was such an experience to see these people out there without anything. You couldn't feel that, you need to spend something on yourself, or you should spend something on yourself. So as this was just a side anecdote that I wanted to share, but one experience that I want to share was that, once the army came in, there were blocks of areas where where these were remote places. A group of Rohingyas, the army heard that are staying there. There is no roads, no communication. They're just, because they are running away literally through the mountains, through the jungles into our country. So they can't find roads naturally, or not always do they find roads. So we got an information that there is a camp out there called Shapmara, which was around 8 or 9 kilometers away from where the last of the roads goes, even the Kacha roads. And after that, that's 8 or 9 kilometers of walk through the mountains. And this I'm talking about vertically up and down. And in that camp, we heard the army, because we were closely coordinating with army. And as I said, alhamdulillah, I did some work with army, and they actually, I contacted our brothers there with whom I work closely, tried to find out who there are in charge, and they, gave me certain contact numbers with whom we were able to get certain absolutely live information of what's needed where. So the horrific thing we heard at 8 o'clock at night was that there are few 500 or 600 Rohingyas stuck at a that's not a camp or anything, stuck in a mountain. And what happens is that there is an attack of pneumonia, and already 3 children died that day, and another 17 or 18 affected. And the army called up, there was this BGB platoon who went there, said that, we have nothing else, but at least 17 or 18 kids might die by tomorrow. So we need something to get those. And of course, at that time, we didn't have many doctors or someone who's in there. So except for our brief experience to manage a certain hospital before that. So we asked them, what are we going to do? And said that without proper doctor or medical facilities, they need the actual medical facilities, hospital, which is next to impossible. They can't bring 600 or 700 people at a go. So what we decided, that was already 8 o'clock at night and the markets were getting closed. So we contacted this hotel owner who kindly allowed us, I will share his experience a bit later on, but contacted him that, is there any shop that we can buy nebulizer from? At least we can take, if we try to take nebulizers, there is pneumonia, and they say that people are, the children especially, are dying from shortness of breath. So they said that perhaps nebulizer will work, because these are soldiers we are talking about. None of the officers could reach there yet. So he said that, yes, we can get nebulizer, but, we are talking about top of the mountain. How are we going to run it? So that's when it clicked that there is no power, no electricity. We again called if they could take a generator. They said, no way, we couldn't take it. The mountainous road is treacherous. And then this hotel owner, he also, his name is Salim Bhai. He was so helpful that he asked, his contacts and everyone who opened up shops for us to get nebulizer. And he said that, let's get a solar unit. We will try to run it with a solar unit. And we weren't sure at that time whether a nebulizer machine will work with a solar unit or not. So the whole night went in trying to set up, because it takes around 6 or 7 hours to set up a solar unit, even there. And there was no engineer willing to go with us this 7 or 8 miles of hiking, which we later on knew why, because it wasn't a normal hiking. And we set those solar units up. We had our engineer, software engineer with us, Imam, you can see here in the purple shirt. And we got all those things and medicines and nebulizer. And on the early break after Fajr, we started there. And this was the track. basically. And once we, started crossing there, we knew why it's called, nobody wanted to come, because the area is called Shap Mara. Literally, this is a forest infested with snakes, and lethal snakes. And that was something we realized halfway through. And of course, I was having PLID. I was suffering from PLID, so I was also concerned whether I can go or not, basically from a car accident which I faced the year before, on 2016. But alhamdulillah, we started, and you can see even the road tracks up to which the cars would go, they could not, on the right-hand picture. And this is our engineers taking in their medicine and nebulizers on hand, including the solar units. But alhamdulillah, we reached there, we set up, and we saw actually like 17 or 18 children suffering, couldn't breathe, but 3 or 4 of them absolutely, I mean, the soldiers came rushing in saying that, they're going to die any minute, because we have seen that happening yesterday. And this is the exact set of sequence. They're closing their eyes, and that's where it all goes off. They can't basically survive. I don't think so. So we rushed in, tried to set up whatever skills we learned last night in quickly for setting up the nebulizing, and we got in the worst of the patient's first children. And this is the first experience of the first child. He couldn't breathe at that time. If you can see, the mother left hope. The eyes are closed, and he couldn't breathe. And we weren't sure if the switch will go on, because the nebulizer was never tested. Even those who told us that we are not sure if this will run on solar power or not. So just a few seconds, and you can see within minutes, alhamdulillah, he opened his eyes, and it was so different.
Subhanallah. Barakallah.
Alhamdulillah. And you can see the reaction on mother as well. And that's something I wanted to an experience that his name is Fatta. I still remember that. And we, alhamdulillah, continued treating all the children over there with the nebulizer, just a small unit. But the experience, I mean, I saw the mother just got up after just a few minutes, didn't thank us at all, just went back and, sorry, I still get emotional recollecting that scene, that she just fell into sajda. Because the soldiers there stationed there were saying that, she was seeing, and all the mothers were seeing just the same sequence of happening to other children. 3 of them died yesterday. One more at the on the night. And this was basically, this child was the next, and they said that, a few more hours perhaps. She was saying, and saying that before we came in, she was just praying. The soldiers saw that this lady was going into seclusion, kind of an open space, and just doing like this and praying that Allah send us someone, Allah send us someone. So and she didn't thank us at all, alhamdulillah. And the way her gratitude to Allah, and that's when we all realized that, this is something that's fulfilling. No $1 million can do this. And that's something that I want to realize.
ہمارے یہ والا سیشن ختم ہونے والا ہے. اس کے بعد میں دوبارہ آپ سے کانٹیکٹ کر کے انشاءاللہ اس کو دوبارہ سٹارٹ کرتے ہیں. ٹھیک ہے.
Okay, sir. I will start from there. Sorry, the presentation got a bit lengthy, but you can cut spaces from there. But I wanted to just, the first part is lengthy because how it started, how it's going is not, well, that's not important.
That is the point, inshallah. We'll talk about that as well.
All right, sir. Thank you.
After a short break.
All right, sir. Inshallah. Jazakallah. Assalamu alaikum.